All right, let's talk about something real. The day winds down, the world goes quiet, and you pick up your phone. And right there, in the palm of your hand, a whole universe of seemingly perfect lives just unfolds. And it can leave you with this quiet, nagging thought.
My life isn't enough. Wow. Does that sound familiar? If that thought has ever popped into your head while you're scrolling, I want you to know something. You are so not alone. It's this feeling of being, less than. And it's actually the starting point for a journey a lot of us are on, even if we don't realize it yet.
So this journey, it begins inside what you could call the borrowed life mirage. It's this illusion, really. And it's fueled by something we all do, looking up at other people and then feeling down about ourselves.
See, at the very heart of this mirage is this psychological concept called upward social comparison. And look, it's a totally natural human thing to do, right? We want to see where we fit in. But social media, man, it puts this instinct on steroids. We are just bombarded with a constant, perfectly curated stream of highlight reels. It makes it almost impossible not to compare our real, messy, everyday lives to someone else's polished, perfect-looking image.
And this is what happens. We stop being the authors of our own story, and we become passive observers of someone else's. And this is way more than just a distraction. It's a form of what some call existential avoidance. Basically, we're giving up on our own story because the inner work of actually writing it just feels too darn hard.
So how does this trap actually work? What are the mechanics behind it? Let's break down exactly how this digital dissatisfaction is basically engineered.
It all works on this incredibly powerful feedback loop, okay? So it starts with a feeling, right? Maybe you're lonely, maybe you're just bored. So you reach for your phone, looking for some validation, a little connection. And you get it, a quick dopamine hit from a like or just from the endless scroll. But here's the kicker, it's temporary. And the research is pretty clear on this. It often makes that initial feeling of loneliness even worse. And what does that do? It sends you right back to the phone for another hit. It's this vicious cycle where the thing you think is the cure actually becomes the cause.
And this brings us to this huge paradox of our time. We have never been more digitally connected, right? But study after study links heavy social media use to a higher risk of loneliness. So what gives? Well, it seems we're trading the real stuff, deep, authentic, messy, real-world connection, for something that's, superficial and one-sided. We're getting tons of engagement, but very little genuine intimacy.
Okay, so this whole external world of comparison, of celebrity worship, it's really just a mirror. It's reflecting a much deeper, much more profound conflict that's happening inside every single one of us. It's this hidden battle between two fundamental forces.
So on one side, you've got the ego. The ego is driven by fear. It craves control, it wants things to be permanent, and it desperately needs proof of its value from the outside world. Then on the other side, you have the soul. The soul is driven by love. It's not looking for control, it's looking for alignment, for presence. It already knows its worth is intrinsic. And this whole social comparison trap, it's basically a playground for the ego.
So, the ego's primary weapon in this fight is vanity. And I'm not just talking about looking in the mirror. No. This is a deep, obsessive need for external approval. It's this core belief that you have to earn your worth through likes and praise and admiration. And it turns your life into this constant, anxious performance. The ego's other big weapon? Envy. And envy is built on a complete lie, the illusion of scarcity. It's this really toxic belief that life is a zero-sum game. The idea that if someone else has success or happiness or love, that means there's less of it available for you. And that lie? That's the engine that drives all of this comparison and constant dissatisfaction. So if vanity and envy are the ego's go-to weapons, how do we fight back? Well, this isn't about escaping or deleting everything. It's about a return. It's about reclaiming your own inner authority, your sovereignty, with some pretty virtuous antidotes to these lies. Okay, so the antidote to vanity isn't humility. Not really. It's self-respect. It's about making that shift from the ego's lie, that your worth is conditional and has to be earned, to the soul's truth, that your worth is intrinsic and totally non-negotiable. It's this quiet, deep knowing that you are valuable, period. No external proof needed. And what about envy? The antidote to envy is gratitude. Gratitude is an active practice that completely dismantles the ego's lie of scarcity. See, when you consciously, actively focus on what you have, you're telling yourself the soul's truth, that the world is abundant,
that there is enough to go around, and that someone else's light doesn't dim yours one bit. In fact, it just adds to the collective glow.
So this all sounds great, but how do we actually turn these ideas into action? Let's get practical. We can fight that vice of vanity by actively practicing self-respect, setting real boundaries, showing ourselves some compassion when we mess up. And we can fight the vice of envy with gratitude, maybe keeping a journal or just making it a point to genuinely, truly celebrate the wins of other people. This right here, this is the practical path forward.
Following this path, it leads to a really profound transformation. It's all about making a conscious choice to move from being a spectator in someone else's life to becoming the creator, the author of your own.
So what's in our author's toolkit? What do we need? First, it starts with practicing loyalty to yourself, actually listening to your own inner voice over all the noise. Next, we cultivate active gratitude to literally rewire our brains for abundance. From there, we can learn to genuinely celebrate other people's light, seeing it as a reflection of our own potential, not a threat. And all of this leads to the final and most important step, actively authoring your own unique story, your own myth.
Ultimately, this whole transformation isn't just for you. It's about becoming, well, you could think of it as becoming a gardener. Instead of just mindlessly consuming content, you begin to cultivate something real. You start planting seeds of truth, of self-respect, and courage, not just in your own life, but for everyone you interact with. You start to embody the change you want to see.
And that brings us to maybe the most important takeaway of all. Your worth, your inner light, it's not something you need to go out and find. It's not something you can borrow from an influencer or a celebrity. It's already inside you. The entire journey, the whole point of all this, is simply about remembering that and learning how to honor it.
So you could say a bell of awakening is tolling for each of us. It's an invitation to stop scrolling and start living, to put down the borrowed life and pick up the pen. The only question left is, what story will you write?